From wherever you're watching us across the country, the continent, and beyond, good evening and a very warm welcome to the Daily Report right here on your authoritative channel TV47. My name is George Maringa. Our sign language interpreter is Catherine Simaloy. Tonight, we intend to have a reverberating conversation with one person who is considered, or rather who is known as the Ombudsman. Do you know what that means? Do you know what that position entails? She is right here in studio, and talking about it, the Ombudsman herself is here. Honorable Florence Kajuju, thank you so much for joining us on TV47.
Good evening, Judge and the team at TV47. Good evening, Kenyans. Today we shall engage and get to understand what we do as the Office of the Ombudsman.
Absolutely. And one of the questions, Mheshimiwa, I got from the audience is, you are Florence Kajuju, but why is the office called Ombudsman?
The office is called Ombudsman because Ombudsman is a Swedish name. That is where it originated from. Okay. And in Sweden, the gender is not the issue. So the name is not gender sensitive, that you should have an ombudswoman or ombudsman. Okay. So when it refers to ombudsman, it's either gender. And that is why now we don't have to worry about ombudsman or ombudsperson. It's just Ombudsman. Ombudsman. Yes.
And constitutionally, you are recognized as the chairperson of the Commission on Administrative Justice, enshrining the Constitution, and you're also the president of the International Ombudsman Institute, IOI African chapter, which you were elected in November 2021. How would you rate your performance in the local office that is here in Kenya and also internationally on a scale of 1 to 10?
I would give the commission, but the commissioners and the officers who work in the commission, each and every one of us, I believe we've done 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Yes.
And of course, we shall be, getting to know and understand what exactly that, it is that you do as the Ombudsman Office, as well as much more. We can see your feedback already online. The Ombudsman is already here in studio, the Honorable Florence Kajuju. Channel your questions, your feedback, and we shall be looking forward to throw your questions to her right here on TV47. Indeed, a lot is making headlines, but first, the highlights tonight. Tonight, President William Ruto officially initiates the distribution of 100,000 kits to support community health promoters.
Tumekuwa tukipanga afya ya kutibu, lakini saa hizi tunapanga afya ya kuzuia magonjwa.
The kits will be deployed to county governments as part of the Universal Healthcare UHC program. The National Dialogue Committee, engaged in bipartisan talks, receives submissions aimed at modifying the structure and allocation of funds for political parties. Plus, officials from the Nairobi City County emphasize the significant advantages of the Finance Bill 2023-2024, which is scheduled for public participation this week across all 17 sub-counties in the city. The county government's primary objective is to boost its own revenue generation through the initiative. Absolutely. We are delighted that you've joined us on terrestrial channels as well as on our website. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm at George Maringa _. You can tweet at Florence Kajuju at Kenya's Ombudsman. That is the Twitter handle that we can reach your feedback on, as well as our SMS line 22047. We look forward to engaging with you. We thank you for joining us. The William Ruto-led government is set to spend 3.5 billion shillings on the Community Health Promoters Program with an aim of detecting health issues early, while at the same time managing minor ones at the community level and decongesting hospitals. This comes after Monday, President William Ruto flagged off 100,000 community health promoters kits for distribution to all the 47 counties. Our Moiga William attended the proceedings at Uhuru Park and filed the following report.
14.8. Monday, President William Ruto made his first public appearance following his return from the United States of America, flagging off 100,000 kits to be distributed across the country. The kits are aimed at empowering and equipping community health promoters with essential tools to enhance healthcare access to the household level. Addressing a section of community health promoters drawn from Nairobi County at Uhuru Park, the head of state said that among the kits will be a smartphone and a basic medical equipment for household health screening.
This moment is a moment of a paradigm shift in the delivery of health in our nation.
Ruto termed the initiative a bold move of the Kenya Kwanza government towards achieving freedom from disease with renewed attention to preventive and promoting health services starting at the household level.
Every community health promoter with 100 households in every part of the Republic of Kenya.
And in 5 years' time, through this intervention, the cost of curing diseases in this country will come down by 50%.
The flagging of the kits is part of the Universal Health Care Program, which the President is expected to launch during this year's Mashujaa Day celebrations on October 20th, Ruto reiterating that the program is vital for his administration and in line with his pledge to the bottom-up economic transformation agenda.
Members of Parliament and the members of the Senate, they have been immensely helpful. I request you, members, to work with us to expedite the legislations that we have put in place so that we can make sure that this program is anchored in law.
Already the government has presented bills at the August House which are being vouched for to be a game changer for the country's health sector. President Ruto rallying members of parliament to act on them. The bills include Primary Healthcare Bill, the Social Health Insurance Bill, the Digital Health Bill, and the Facility Improvement Financing Bill.
We have taken legislation, 4 pieces of laws to Parliament that have been agreed upon between the national government and the county government so that we can deliver health on a firm legal and legislative footing.
Mwige William, TV 47.
Thank you, Moiga, for that. Now, community health promoters will play a key role in the fight against El Nino effects in the coming months. This is according to the government that says a multi-sectoral meeting will take place on Thursday at 10 a.m. in preparation for El Nino in the coming months, as Zainab Mohammed now tells us.
Speaking after the flagging off of community health promoters' kits to counties, the government has emphasized the crucial role that will be played by community health promoters in the fight against the effects of El Nino rains.
El Nino usually comes with a lot of diseases. It also comes with an environment that ensures that the diseases spread at an alarming rate. We are launching this at an opportune moment when we are expecting them to upscale what they are doing to make sure that we're going to have an El Nino with a difference now that we have an army to deal with our disease burden at the primary level.
According to Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, there will be a multi-sectoral meeting involving representatives from the Kenya Meteorological Department, the National Drought Management Authority, KDF, Police Service, humanitarian agencies such as Red Cross, all 47 county governors, and representation from various ministries ahead of the rains.
We need to work together between the national government and the county government so that as a country we prepare for the challenges that will come with El Nino, and we have sufficient information to the people of Kenya, those who are on high ground, those who are in areas that are prone to floods. There is adequate information to the people of Kenya.
Last week, the Ministry of Health announced that it has formed an emergency rapid response team in anticipation of the predicted El Nino rains. Further, the ministry has conducted health facility capacity preparedness and sensitization to address the expected surge in flood-related accidents and waterborne diseases such as diarrhea. The community health promoters have a big task ahead of them as issues such as sensitizing the public on the causes of the diseases and how to prevent them fall squarely on them. Zainab Mohammed, T47.
Still on that, President William Ruto flagged off the distribution of 100,000 kits to be used by community health promoters on Monday, and the kits will be essential tools for household screening by the community health service providers who will be at the center of universal health coverage, UHC, and have been struggling to offer their critical services to communities for a very long time. Our very own Chichi Josephine looks into a story of how it has been for the community health service providers in the last years and some of the challenges that they have been going through.
This is a very special moment in the history of public delivery in our country.
President William Ruto unveiled the CHP's kits for at least 100,000 community health practitioners on Monday.
Flag off! County 02.
It is a development that heralds hope among communities and under-resourced workers offering critical healthcare services amid untold hardship. In these sprawling Bondeni slums, we meet a 52-year-old Beatrice Njihia and Belly Otieno, CHPs for over 10 years. And today, Beatrice is attending to Mwajuma Swale, who suffered a stroke due to complications caused by hypertension. Apart from this notebook, they say they have nothing else to carry along whenever they visit the patients.
Sisi hatuna vifaa. Tunapatana na wagonjwa, tunawahurumia, lakini vifaa hata ile huduma ya kwanza kuwa na vitu kama tuseme first aid kit. Huna tii, unaona nimebeba hapa ni notebook na Biblia wakati mwingine kuomba na mtu na kumtia nguvu.
Even though they play an important role in the community, the healthcare providers single out a lack of personal protective equipment and inadequate drugs as the biggest challenges they have to grapple with in the line of duty.
Wakati mwingine utaenda ukute huyo mama ni bedridden, na huyo mama anastahili kuhudumiwa ukiwa na hizo gloves, kwa vile utakuta mwingine amejiendea choo kwa kitanda, kila kitu anastahili kuoshwa, lakini hauna. Inabidi kuweka hii makaratasi ya nylon ili umhudumie.
Belly Otieno maintains that though the Kenya Community Health Policy mandates the county government to pay stipends and compensate CHPs for their time, this has not been the case for him and his colleagues in Bondeni.
Sisi hatuna malipo. Ni kazi ile unavyoiona ya kujitolea. Wakati mwingine usalama wako ni mkubwa, wakati mwingine huna fare kufika, na mgonjwa anajua wewe ndio mtu ambaye lazima umuone.
Wakati huo unaenda training mahali ndio utapata ile dhao ya kuja ukule kwako, lakini kazi bado tunaendelea.
Ms. Swale, who suffers stroke, says the CHPs have been the first line of medical care for most slum dwellers, and there is need to equip them with necessary tools.
Sasa kama mimi niko na stroke, kutembea ni shida, hela kupata ni shida. Nashukuru CHV wakikuja kuniona, angalau serikali waongezee mapato ya dawa na vitu ambazo wanaweza kutusaidia ili tujimudu kimaisha. Magonjwa ni mengi.
Njihia works each day to the reality that she may have to dig into her own pocket to cater for her patients.
Lakini hata akipatiwa referral na kwenda katika hospitali, madawa hakuna. So huwa inatubidi tena kurudi wakati amekuja akatuambia hakuna dawa. Sisi wenyewe tujipange, tumpatie hata ingawa niyo pesa kidogo, ataenda kutafuta hiyo madawa.
As the country gears up to achieve universal health coverage, they observe that there is need to entrench them in proper training initiatives.
Training ambayo hufanyika, wacha niseme kwa kibombo kidogo, it is not comprehensive. Training yenyewe is a bit scanty. Inakuwa more or less theory, lakini hakuna practical part of it.
Na sisi tunaomba wakati huu, ikiwa ni wale vijana au matins, wafunzwe nasi tuwasaidie ili tuwaelekeze na tuwaonyeshe kazi vile huwa inaenda.
Niko very willing kwa sababu pia mimi nasaidiana na upande mwingine. Kama hivyo kujulia wagonjwa hali, wasichana wenzangu na sio peke yao.
The government will spend 3.5 billion shillings on the program, where all the CHP would be equipped with a backpack carry bag, first aid box, jacket, weighing scale, infrared clinical thermometer and a made upper arm circumference tape.
Sisi ndio tunakuwa first hand kupata na mgonjwa moja kwa moja. Tukiwezesha, tukiwa empowered kidogo tu kwamba tunaweza kudeal na vitu first hand, zingine ambazo hazihitaji more technical, tunaweza enda mbali sana.
This is Bondeni, one of the 3 slums in Nakuru County, where services provided by community health promoters are highly needed. And with the unveiling of the kits, there is high hopes for residents and CHPs who have been struggling to provide health services to the masses. Reporting for TV47 from Nakuru County, my name is Chichi Josephine.
Thank you, Chichi, for that. National Intelligence Service officers who were arrested over the weekend for alleged stealing of over 166 million shillings from Jiwa Sacco Limited will spend another day in custody pending court's ruling whether they will be charged with 223 counts of charges leveled against them. This is after they asked the court through their lawyers to reduce the counts to 12. The defense leading senior counsel Danston Omari in his argument said the bundles of their accounts are bulky and not justified to be charged to each suspect with 223 counts, accusing the Office of Directorate of Public Prosecutions for such a huge charge sheet. On his ruling on the senior principal magistrate Boaz Ombewa said he will make his ruling tomorrow at 10 a.m. to determine whether to have the DPP amend the charge sheet and the bond terms.
Procedurally, and in my own view, it is a waste of time. The law as it is, only 12 counts charges can be held in a charge sheet. Number 2, I also raised another issue. Do we need to destroy the National Intelligence Services by bringing these people to court? Is there any other way they could have resolved this matter? Are we likely to bring national security matters to open court? My advice is that the instructions I have, I will be writing a letter to the Director of Public Prosecution today, who has been sworn in today, to review these charges because they are going to be a security fiasco.
Let me say 10 a.m. tomorrow. I'll not deliver the ruling on admitting on bail before pre-charge, a pre-charge bail, before I deliver ruling on whether the charges are proper or not. Because for me, I understand it to mean one is predicated on the outcome of a ruling whether the charges are proper or not.
This Sabaot tribe on Monday submitted a memorandum to the National Bipartisan team demanding to be given a county known as Mount Elgon County. Sabaot is one of the 9 small tribes of the Kalenjin community. As Mike Kagwonga now reports, representatives of the community, which occupies parts of Bungoma and Trans Nzoia counties, claim they have been neglected in terms of development issues since the promulgation of the 2010 Constitution.
It is plea that has been there since 1932 after colonizers marked the Bungoma-Trans Nzoia border. The Sabaot claim the border was erroneously marked.
Sisi tangu tupata uhuru Kenya, tulikosa nini Mungu wetu wa Isaka? Utuhurumia siku ya leo na utupatia kaunti yetu Mount Elgon.
Ikiwa hatutapewa, tunatangaza hivi, hakuna mzigo itaenda Chwele siku nyingine, hakuna maji itateremka chini.
Their representatives want the border to be removed so that they get their own county. They want members of the Azimio Kenya Kwanza bipartisan team to listen to their plea, suggesting that Mount Elgon constituency should be demarcated into Mount Elgon West and East and Mount Elgon County.
It is a boundary the colonialists used as a divide and rule method to take away land from the Sabaot community.
That we are tired of being minority, we have to be majority in our own interests and in our own situation.
The leaders both from Bungoma and Trans Nzoia counties expressed how it has been difficult to enjoy devolution fruits since promulgation of the 2010 Constitution due to the current status quo.
Ombi letu la kutaka kaunti si tisho kwa jamii yeyote. Kaunti itakuwa ni ya wakazi wote ambao watakuwa katika Mount Elgon County.
Ile Berlin Wall tunafunja leo kwa sababu ni kama West Germany
na East German.
Tunataka hiyo county kwa sababu ya development, si kwa sababu mwingine.
Tuko na makabila 43, but we have got 47 counties. Lakini jamii ambayo hawana mtu naitwa governor ni Wasabot. Why? We have got 46 tribes and we have got 47 counties.
Meanwhile, the Political Parties Liaison Committee wants the August 2022 presidential process audited in a bid to ensure electoral justice and transparency. PPLC chairperson Evans Misati explained the political rhetoric over the outcome of the last year's general election can be silenced through a conclusive audit.
I'd wish to know if they're interested in the main general elections alone or the party primaries as well. For purposes of audit, we are talking about audit of the processes. We are not talking about audit of the results of 2022.
In terms of the work that we put in, then we should also be treated equally in terms of the decision-making process.
Oral presentation of memoranda continues Tuesday, with people with disability and Law Society of Kenya taking center stage. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Absolutely, and we shall be having a discussion on what the Ombudsman, the Office of the Ombudsman, is doing regarding the indigenous communities in the country. Remember, she's still right here in studio. That conversation is coming up shortly. Now, the United States of America Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has this afternoon announced that the U.S. will support Kenya on its mission to Haiti after Kenya agreed to send a police contingent to help Haiti to restore security in that country. Speaking during his official visit to Kenya, Lloyd said USA had agreed to restore peace in Haiti, assisting Kenya's decision to deploy its troops in the country. Last month, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said addressing the security situation in Haiti requires a range of coercive law enforcement measures. Defense Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale said Kenya and the US had inked a defense framework to maintain their cooperative counter-terrorism efforts. The framework, which runs from 2023 to 2028, represents a crucial turning point in the bilateral commitment to regional peace and security.
Consequently, I'm delighted to announce that we have just signed a framework for defense cooperation spanning the years 2023 to 2028. This framework represents a significant milestone in our bilateral relations and underscores our shared commitment to peace, security, and stability in the region and globally.
Our concern is that, again, we have established some momentum. We want to make sure that, where possible, we maintain that momentum. So I think countries in the region are looking for ways to continue to help, but in terms of what that's going to look like is yet to be defined.
Now, the Senate has commenced its Mashinani sittings at Turkana County, with the Senate Agriculture Committee visiting Katilu Irrigation Scheme, where farmers have expressed their challenges. The farmers claim successive governments have overlooked them for a while, despite the land being capable of producing sufficient food. According to farmers, persistent insecurity from neighboring communities across the Turkana River has been a major hindrance to their efforts in farming, and are now urging the Senate to help address the challenges.
Day one of the Senate Mashinani program, the Agriculture Committee commenced their work by visiting Katilu Irrigation Scheme. Farmers expressing their challenges despite their desire to cultivate the vast land, challenges they want the Senate Agriculture Committee to address. Some of the challenges they want addressed include the insecurities facing them, especially from their neighbors across the Turkana River, insufficient budget on the scheme, and lack of fertilizer despite the government of the day distributing subsidized fertilizer.
Changamoto ambayo sisi tunapata hapa kutoka kwa mashamba yetu hii mambo ya majirani zetu, insecurity ndio mbaya. Wanatuibia sisi sasa wakati inapoiva namna hii. Wanatuibia sisi chakula yetu.
NIA itabidi wafanye uhusiano na mashirika yale mengine, hata na community. Unajua community ikijua kwa NIA inapanda mbegu, inafanya hivi, hata mashirika mengine yatakuja na watu wataelewa kwa NIA inawapandia nini.
The Senate Agriculture Committee insists on finding solutions to their plea and to help the county gain food security. According to the Irrigation Board CEO Charles Mwasia, the county has potential and their target is to farm over 10 acres of land, but they remain hand-tied due to insufficient budget.
Kiangalia ile ng'ambo ingine ya mto Takwel na huku kuna kuanga na mitafaruku kila wakati, na kwa hivyo hiyo ukosefu wa usalama pia inasababisha wakulima kushindwa kulima na kuzalisha venye inafaa kufanyika. Kwa sababu kama tunataka kuwe na usalama wa chakula, lazima tuangalie mambo hayo.
Kama president amesema mbolea iende mashinani, kama Rigiji msema kweli amesema mbolea iende mashinani, kama sisi Senate tunasema mbolea iende mashinani, shida iko wapi?
Turkana County has the potential of being a food basket of the day if the challenges raised, that is drought, as well as insecurities, are addressed with, or rather by the government of the day. If this will happen is a matter of wait and see. Elizabeth Mutuko, TV47, Turkana County.
Thank you, Liz, for that. Now, the Nairobi, to matters business, the Nairobi Trade Fair has extended its reach into the broader African market, boasting a total of 100 foreign exhibitors at this year's exposition. The move aligns with the objectives of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, with the primary goal of establishing robust business-to-business connections with international companies. Joseph Mogo, the chair of the Agriculture Society of Kenya in Nairobi, envisions the 7-day fair attracting a minimum of 500,000 visitors. Now, this optimistic projection is driven by the doubling of exhibitors to approximately 400.
The Nairobi Trade Fair. Day one was full of vigor and vibe, bringing to a crescendo a show that has been in existence since 1902.
We have been doing the preparation for the last few days, and this is the climax of the preparation. This is day one.
The edge this year, a focus on smart agriculture as a solution to a fast depleting national breadbasket.
But now, because of the climate change, the climate has been very bad, not just in Kenya, but countrywide and worldwide. People are not able to grow enough food to sustain themselves. The country itself is not able to sustain itself for economic growth.
Held in 17 different regions across the country, ASK Nairobi Chair Joseph Mugo says the numbers have increased immensely, surpassing pre-COVID tallies.
We are growing food not in a technologically approved manner. As a result of that, the harvest in the chambers, in the farms, is not very good. And that is what now our focus is. We want farmers, traders to come here and exhibit their technology to the children.
We were able to get so many people coming to our tent. People are trying to ask, I've been seeing Robisite somewhere, but what do you do? So now we are able to interact one-on-one with the people.
Foreign businesses have also shown an interest in taking a bite out of the Kenyan market.
From Africa, we have some from outside Africa. They are all coming and they're exhibiting. Prior to our preparation here, we had visited several embassies in the country, and they showed a lot of enthusiasm in exhibiting with us.
Forging of B2B connections and product enhancement through customer reviews is a goal for many exhibitors. And at the end of the 7 days...
Well, this is really the first day. I've seen a few people around, but it's a good exposure for businesses and also for the locals as they can see what the country has to offer them.
With over 400 local exhibitors, about more than 100 international exhibitors, the first day of the Nairobi Trade Fair promises to give exposure to micro, small and medium enterprises like no other year, the theme for the year being agri-tech. Will they achieve whatever they want by the end of the 7 days? Hibak Said for TV47 Nairobi.
Thank you, Hibakside, for the business report. The national women's football team Harambee Starlets head coach Beldine Odemba has expressed her confidence over her team winning their match against Cameroon and qualifying for the 2024 Women Africa Cup of Nations when the two sides lock horns in their qualifiers return leg tie Tuesday afternoon at the Nyayo National Stadium. Beldine was speaking during Harambee Starlets' last training session at the Nyayo Stadium, where she stated that their main aim is to qualify for the continental tournament.
Iko high kwa camp, spirits ziko high kwa camp. Wasichana wanajiskuma, walijiskuma vizuri. Cameroon uliona tulipata very slim lose. Ni kitu tunaweza tukarecover. Hiyo ndio plan yetu. Kile naweza sema tulicheza according to game plan. Sometimes kuna maybe kale ka uoga uko away ama the 13th player pia sometimes ina take effect. It's been long since we played. Wasichana waende kwa stadium imejaa with all that nostalgia, unaweza uka understand. Wali take time kuingia kwa game but walirudi wakaingia kwa game. Kenyan fans naweza omba waje na waje kwa wingi. Starlets imekuwa ikipata a lot of positive vibes from the fans. Fans wamekuwa kitokea. Kenyans believe in us. Wakija stadium kuona wajaze stadium watakuwa.
Now, Tony Wanyama exhibited his fine form after breaking his long-time course silence to be declared the 2023 Ultimate Haka of the 5th Annual Hackers Golf Tournament played at the Par 71 Nyali Golf and Country Club course in Mombasa County. The handicap 22 Wanyama, who has not been in the limelight for many years, carried a count-back score of 41 Stableford points to beat his colleagues and claim the title in the day-long 18-hole tournament. Indeed, congratulations to him. Over 30 coaches in Nairobi have embarked on their CAF C coaching course that was organized by the Football Kenya Federation FKF in a bid to improve their technical standards and impact Kenyan football. Speaking during the opening ceremony of the course in Buruburu Estate, Nairobi, Coach Knight Lugaria urged women to jump on the opportunity offered by FKF and join the course to become top football coaches in the country.
Federation sana kwa kueleza kozi hizi ndio maana makochi kwa wengi kwa kazi sio kwa makochi wengi hapa kwa chini tuanze mpira wetu Kenya kutoka chini kuja juu kwa sababu ndio yaribika chini ndio wafika juu kwa shida na nashukuru Federation sana ndio kuna coach hivi sasa hivi tunapata ile nguvu pia ya kuweza kufunza vijana wetu.
I think it's important because as a coach I need to have the knowledge from our seniors, and then with time we start training the kids from the grassroots. Now, in order to develop our football, we need to start from the grassroots, that is the young kids. And then some years to come, those are the same kids that are going to represent our country in the CECAFA and even in the World Cup. But I also like to advise our ladies out there. As you can see, in this course, I'm the only lady. So the ladies should come up and let's take the coaching course so that the field can be balanced.
I believe you're now up to date with what's taking place across the country and beyond. With the news done, we will be coming back after this short commercial break for that one-on-one conversation, that interview with the Ombudsman, that is Honorable Florence Kajuju. She's still here in studio. We see your questions, your feedback. Indeed, we shall be forwarding them and, of course, hoping to channel your feedback to her, as well as what you'd like to see done regarding the office of the Ombudsman. We're back in a few minutes. Do stay with us. This is the Daily Report on TV47.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for.
That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Moyakane.
and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
Toka eneo hili la Naivasha kwenye kaunti 032, gatuzi la Nakuru.
Kutoka kaunti ya Elgeyo Marakwet, kaunti 028.
Nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Wajir.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Turkana.
Kwa matukio yote yanayojiri katika kaunti hii 012.
Kutoka kaunti nambari 1, kaunti ya Mombasa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Lamu.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka Kisii County.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Machakos.
Kutoka kaunti hii ya Trans Nzoia.
Kaunti 038.
Kutoka gatuzi nambari 029, kaunti ya Nandi, chemichemi ya mabingwa.
Nikiripotia TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Kakamega.
Itakuwa nikiripotia runinga ya TV47 kutoka kaunti ya Bungoma.
Jina langu ni Paula Munio.
Willy Dennis Jiru.
Fabian Kibet.
Mimi ni Hashim Jimal.
Mimi ni Kitio Mika Masai.
John Javakiania.
Jina langu ni Abdulaziz Nameka.
Mimi ni Kombo Alfayo.
Jina langu ni Nicholas Mbai.
Isaac Famba. Mimi ni Wanji Sosti.
Jina langu ni Arnold Adidi.
Jina langu ni Chris Bet.
Jina langu ni Violet Auma.
Na TV47 inapotamba, mimi Sheila Chelangat nitakuwa nikiripotia maswala yanayokuhusu wewe kila kuchao. Every Thursday 7:30 p.m. unapata nafasi kufahamu viongozi mbalimbali kutoka humu nchini, kuanzia wabunge.
Through Changa we could get money to pay our rent, to pay our bills.
When I was growing up, water was a problem where I was born and bred. We wake up at 3 to go and look for water.
Magavana
must be ready to be a tough
woman
and not a woman to be walked over. Kwa hivyo you respect people.
Ndani ya Mfahamu Kiongozi, story na historia, na mi Elizabeth Muchuku.
Kwa mirindimo kemkem ya michezo, mahojiano ya kipekee na mabingwa wetu, makala ya kuvutia pamoja na matukio mubashara viwanjani. Shabiki, tutapiga mbizi katika kila kiwanja, ndani na hata nje ya nchi. Mtazamaji, uko tayari? Ni kazi michezoni ama michezo kazini? Ungana nami Ahmed Bahaj, sajili mpya nimefika katika kipindi cha kipekee Mchaka Mchaka. Zitatoka cheche, tutapiga mstari chini yake. Si bora michezo, ni michezo kwa ubora wake. Mcheche.
Your event.
Good evening and welcome back to the Daily Report right here on TV47. It is exactly 36 minutes past the hour. With me, George Maringa. Tonight we speak to the Ombudsman, that is Honorable Florence Kajuju. She's still here in studio and she's the chairperson of the Commission on Administrative Justice, otherwise known as the Office of the Ombudsman, and the second Ombudsman of the Republic of Kenya from 2nd August 2018 to date. She is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya with over over 25 years experience on the bar, and has also, before the appointment as the Ombudsman of the Republic, was the woman representative for Meru County in the 11th Parliament. In addition, she's also the president of the International Ombudsman Institute IOI African chapter, and she was elected on the 9th of November 2021. Mheshimiwa, thank you so much for staying with us. Welcome back to the Daily Report.
Thank you, Judge.
Brilliant.
We are still here.
You're still here. And indeed, those are quite some accolades that you have. And when you look at the role of the Commission on Administrative Justice, that is, in and of itself, ensuring that justice is administered in the country. And the basic definition of justice is ensuring that, one has a just behavior or treatment. Do you presume, or do you think that in this country, justice is something that is observed wherever, in all aspects and in all spheres, especially in government?
If you may allow me, George, first of all, maybe I would just like to say what the Ombudsman is.
Yes.
And this is a commission that is established under the Chapter 15 commissions, Article 59(4). And we have several commissions, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the National Gender and Equality Commission, as well as the Commission on Administrative Justice.
Yes.
And this commission, which I was privileged to serve from the year 2018, as you put it, looks at issues that deal with how then public officers administer justice to citizens. And from where I sit, having practiced as an advocate and ensuring that citizens are able to have their grievances resolved through the court process, which is an adversarial system of litigation, I believe that the drafters and the thinkers who came up with this commission were very clear, because the commission deals with alternative dispute resolution, whereby we employ the methods of reconciliation, mediation, and arbitration. So basically what the commission is trying to do is to support citizens so that they don't have to go to court, to go through the technicalities of a court process, to go through the issues of payment of legal fees, to go through the issues of delay. So we are trying to support citizens to ensure that if you've been aggrieved through a public officer's inaction or action or omission or delay or maladministration in the public service, then citizens can come and lodge their complaints within the commission, and we as the commission then are able to summon the public officer who is at the wrong, or be able to write to them and ask them why they have not helped that citizen as it is expectant, and through engagement with the other party, then we are able to resolve these kind of disputes, whether it's employment, whether it is issuance of identity cards or passports, or all these issues that public officers are expected to deliver service as a matter of course. So from where I sit, I believe that it's a great way of ensuring that Kenyans receive justice, not just the justice itself, but it is resolved in an expeditious manner with the minimal cost. And of course, as the Ombudsman, we don't charge. So all that you incur is maybe the cost to take yourself to the commission offices, although as we move on, I'll be telling you how we have made it easier for Kenyans to access the services of the Ombudsman.
Okay. These Kenyans you talk about, Mheshimiwa, do you think they understand the role of the Ombudsman regarding, conversations that we've even had, perhaps the office, we need to review the establishment of that office. Are those sentiments that you agree with?
When we speak about the name Ombudsman, yes, it doesn't sound like it's a name that Kenyans can connect with. And that is why, if you look at the Constitution, what you'll find is the Commission on Administrative Justice, which is easier and Kenyans can connect with. So it is also, of course, a matter that is ongoing in terms of ensuring Kenyans get to reach the services of the Ombudsman. And that is why we have decentralized so much of our services. We have 6 offices across the region. Of course, we have Nairobi, the headquarters. We have an office in Mombasa. We have Eldoret. We have Kisumu. We have Isiolo. We have Nyahururu. We have Garissa. And we also partnered with the Ministry of Public Service in the Huduma centers. Within the Huduma centers, we have the Ombudsman's desk, where we have our officers who then can receive complaints from the Kenyans and transmit them to the offices. This is not enough because we have 12 Huduma centers or Ombudsman's desk at the Huduma centers. But we have also moved to ensure that we educate Kenyans about the services of the Ombudsman through the Ombudsman Mashinani. So we moved to various counties, be able to bring together Kenyans and speak to them about the services we offer as the Office of the Ombudsman, so that then when they get these complaints, they can always come to the office and be able to lodge the complaint. But we also established a system called the Complaints Management Information Systems, which we launched in May 2022. Yeah. And this now system, you're able to launch a complaint from the comfort of your home.
Mheshimiwa, then in a month perhaps, how many complaints do you receive as the commission?
We receive around 500 complaints across the country, and we are able to ensure that these complaints are resolved within a period of a month. But we also ensure that where we have to go into, because we have different ways of resolving complaints. There are where in some situations we do inquiries, in other situations we summon the public officers who have not responded to the letters that we write to them. So it takes a span of 6 months before a complaint is resolved, depending on the response by the public officers who have aggrieved the citizens.
Okay. If you could divulge perhaps even the resolution number, because you receive up to 500, about how many are resolved out of those? Do you resolve the 500 themselves? Or, what's the rate of resolving these cases and these disputes?
Our resolution rate of complaints is around 74%. Okay. So in every 1 month, we sit back and check what we have resolved. And, we don't just deal with complaints. We also deal with access to information, because in 2016, the Parliament, which I sat in, was able to pass the Access to Information Act. And after the passage of the Access to Information Act, Parliament, in its wisdom, resolved that the Commission on Administrative Justice implements the Access to Information Act. And this is just to ensure that government is able to release information to the citizens. So we oversight the national government, the ministries, the departments, the agencies, and we also oversight the county governments. So we expect public officers to proactively release information, like matters of procurement. When you are procuring the services of the county, which are supposed to be offered to the citizens, then you release that information on your website, and when citizens inquire about that information, they're able to get it. So we also implement the Access to Information Act, but also ensure that counties have information officers who then can be reached out to by the citizens to ensure that they give that information as and when it is required. Okay.
Mheshimiwa, let's look at some of the cases that, perhaps include, the oppression of some of Kenyans. And we're talking about those who end up, even serving jail terms that, for cases or situations where they are later acquitted and found not guilty. Ordinarily, what is the procedure of such a Kenyan? I mean, what do they need to do? Because they have been aggrieved upon, do they need to sue the state?
Of that, I can advise you as an advocate, because as the Ombudsman, we are not allowed to deal with matters that have been determined by the courts or the judiciary. Criminal matters are not within our jurisdiction. It falls within the jurisdiction of the magistrates or the judges, and of course the DPP and the DCI. So we don't touch matters where someone has been arrested, they have been prosecuted, they have been found guilty, maybe they have appealed in the high courts. So we don't deal with criminal matters. Ours, we deal with complaints against the public officers. So when the public comes to us and they lodge those complaints, maybe there is a public officer has failed to issue a passport, because that is one of the issues that we have investigated and passed on the report to the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Interior and National Administration. Or if it is about land matters, where public officers, land registrars have not issued title deeds to citizens, they'll come to us and complain. If you've been unlawfully removed from public service. If you are employed by government and at some point they unlawfully dismiss you from service, and according to you, the principles of natural justice have not been employed, you come to the Ombudsman and we are able to summon the ministry or to the department or the parastatal, and we are able to look at the issues and determine as to whether you get back to your service provision or maybe you are released and paid your dues. So those are the issues that we deal with.
Okay, so would you give us perhaps an example that, came of a case, a heavy case that perhaps a complaint that was raised to the Ombudsman, to the Office of the Ombudsman, and then you progressed all the way to its completion?
One of the cases that I'm proud that we intervened is the Saudi Arabia immigrant workers. There was a situation that even now it is happening, and some of the Kenyan girls mostly travel out of the country to seek for jobs, especially in the Gulf. But this particular situation, we are dealing with Saudi Arabia, where we aim to investigate, because as per the law, we can investigate suo motu, which is on our own motion. If we find that a matter is of public interest, the Commission is allowed to move itself and be able to investigate that particular matter, because it affects quite a number of Kenyans. In this situation, we found that most of the people who travel out of the country end up in situations that are not worthy of a good lifestyle. When they get to be employed in the Gulf, most of them are denied their rights, maybe food, maybe medical services, maybe their passports are confiscated, and many other situations that are just abuse of the rights of the workers who travel. And you find that it wasn't clear who is in charge of this traveling and the recruitment of the girls. So when we investigated, even with recruitment agencies, we found there are quite a number of private agencies that recruit our people. There are also quite some inadequate training, because like if you're traveling to the Gulf, we would expect you to be trained in as far as the language, because we know most of them don't speak English. So if you go there and you don't speak their language, then that becomes a barrier. How do you then offer that service? So we investigated the Ministry of Labor on the laws, the labor laws that the ministry has, and how it makes sure that the agencies that are recruiting then can comply with the labor laws. We also got some of the girls who had traveled to the Gulf to come and tell us exactly what happens when they get there. Because there are those who ran away from there. There are those who say their passports were taken away. There are those who have even passed on. We've seen situations where girls who have gone there have passed on, and their families are crying for their bodies to be brought back. So we brought in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We also brought in the Ministry of Labor. We brought in the Immigration Department, because they're the ones who issue passports. Then we brought in NITA that trains, and brought in the various private recruitment agencies. And our final report was given to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Labor to be able to ensure our recommendations are followed up to the letter.
What did you recommend? I'm curious.
We recommended training of the girls who have to travel. We also recommended that government must be able to ensure that those who have traveled outside the country then are registered in the embassies or the missions or the consular when they get to the Gulf or any other country for that matter. We also recommended that some of the laws, the labor laws, must be amended. We identified areas where we felt there is a lacuna or a gap, a legal gap, that then needs to be filled up for Kenyans to be safe. And we also recommended that when Kenyans suffer from the conditions that they find where they're employed, there should be safe homes within the consulars or within the embassies, that the embassies should be able to establish a safe home, so that if you get a situation that then is uncomfortable, you can easily get to the safe homes and be able to get rescued. Okay. The other report I would like to mention is about the passports issuance. We had some complainants who came to the commission, and they said that the immigration department delayed some of their passports. Some of the officers there were asking for money for your passport to be processed. And in some cases, you'll find it's a patient who is supposed to travel. And then instead of the passport being issued on time, then there are complications that were not being understood. So we moved into the immigration department. We brought in the Minister of Interior. We brought in various other state agencies. And we prepared a recommendation or a report that we gave to the Minister of Interior. And I'm happy to report that the Minister of Interior has really moved in to ensure that within the immigration department, then Kenyans are able to get their passports within a record time. So those are investigation reports that I can bring to you, Judge, at any one given time, because Kenyans need to know what the Ombudsman is doing to make their life easier as we move on. Yeah, the recommendations in that report on the, the Gulf countries and these agencies that help recruit workers, immigrant workers to go work elsewhere. Do you think that some of the recommendations in these reports that the Office of the Ombudsman produces, that they are adhered to the letter, as in they are given the full force that is required, because you've given an advisory role? That's a challenge. Some of the things that we are looking at as the Commission, as we exit next year, is to check, as per the laws, the Commission on Administrative Justice Act, the Access to Information Act, among other chapters of the law that we deal with, or statutes, what has worked, what needs to be changed in terms of amendment, and then how do we move forward? Because most of the commissions now are over 10 years, because as the Constitution was promulgated in 2010, most of the commissions came to be in 2011, 2012. So we are saying that along the way we have found areas where the law needs to be amended. One of those is when the Commission makes a determination, what is contained in that report, there are recommendations. So we are asking Parliament, because like our Commission, our Oversight Parliamentary Committee is Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. So we are speaking to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee and asking that some of these laws need to be amended so that the recommendations of the Ombudsman then can be given the full force of the law. So because someone in government might just decide to place that recommendation and it gathers dust. Precisely. Yeah, but another thing that is good about this progress is that when the current administration came to be, the President found it fit to place the commissions and the dependent offices within the presidency, where now we are able to access the deputy president, because the president decided at the executive order that the commissions should have a sitting in the deputy president, where the deputy president is the liaison office of the CCIOs, the constitutional commissions and independent offices. So one of the roles of or some of the roles of the deputy president is to ensure that he's able to speak to us when we have challenges on budget, because that is a major challenge of dependent offices and commissions. Also, implementation of the recommendations of the commissions and the dependent offices. So right now we are supposed to go for a retreat with the Office of the Deputy President to be able to relook at areas in which then he can bring in his strength and advise and help us in terms of recommendations and ensuring that Parliament can also support us to ensure that we make amendments to the laws. Yes.
And those are quite, some important, points that you raised there. So when you look at the overall now, the composition of these constitutional commissions, do you think that perhaps, collapsing them into one to be able to have, this service delivery to then reduce this conversation, because then Kenyans would wonder, all these constitutional commissions, what are they for? Do you think that perhaps you either need to expand further or remain as it is, or do you need to collapse them into one?
This constitution, when it was passed in 2010, yes, is it around 65% yes, of Kenyans saying that it's a good document? But of course, there is that part that we say it needs to be amended. But Chapter 4, which deals with the fundamental freedoms and rights of Kenyans, yes, is key. It is one of the freedoms that Kenyans must protect and safeguard because they fought for this freedom, they fought for these rights. Yeah. Some of the rights they fought for is administration of justice, yes, human rights, gender. That is why we have Article 100 in the Constitution that talks about women, youth, vulnerable, marginalized groups, the special interest groups. So these commissions are expected to make sure that the lives of Kenyans is easier. The Constitution also allowed Parliament to be able to restructure, because within the Constitution, the independent offices and the commissions have a name. But Parliament then restructured and was able to give us the Human Rights Commission and the Gender Commission and the Ombudsman's office. Yes, yes. So each of these commission is important, and collapsing them, amalgamating them again, yes, then becomes a problem. You can't collapse them again because each of us is serving a very important role. Actually, what we need is to ensure that government gives these commissions much more in terms of budget so that we can spread out. We can decentralize the office of the Ombudsman to the 47 counties. That is how the EACC, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, is in every county. We also have other offices that are like the AG's office, like the judiciary, it's in every county. Every county has a high court station. So we are also saying, can we decentralize our services much more so that Kenyans mashinani are able to get the services of the Ombudsman at the closest level, because we decentralized the counties, we've devolved the functions, which means the functions of the counties then need to be checked at the mashinani level. Yet the Ombudsman is not able to serve every county in this country. Absolutely. So, Judge, we cannot collapse them.
Absolutely. And indeed, that is a question that I saw raised on Twitter, and that's why I brought it forward. And, coming from a Kenyan who, asked about those, constitutional commissions. But thanks for that response. A conversation that we continue having right here on the Daily Report with Honorable Florence Kajuju, who is the Ombudsman. She's explained what, the Commission does, what they've been able to do so far. When we come back from this short commercial break, we'll be seeking to understand now, moving forward, what are some of the things that the Commission needs to see done. Are Kenyans also responding, and much more. We are back in a few minutes. Do stay with us.
The news that matters the most is the one that hits close to home. When disasters strike, we are there to inform you. When the bullets are flying, we tell you who's shooting and why. Reporting on your victories, your health, your money, your security, your past, present, and future. We are interested in telling the stories of creativity, hard work, and resilience that you are known for.
That is our job. This is my job. My name is Victor Muyakane, and it's my honor to bring you this news this way every Thursday night on the home of Untold Stories.
Katika majengo haya, hapa ndipo sheria zinapotungwa na zinapopakuliwa. Nitakuletea viongozi mbalimbali, mirengo mbalimbali, wote kwa pamoja wakipika na kupakua. Tutawapa nafasi kuweza kuangazia changamoto na mafanikio ya ugatuzi katika ukumbi wa siasa kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 1 kamili na kuendelea.
It is exactly 2 minutes past 10 p.m. We thank you for staying with us. In case you're just joining us, this is the Daily Report on TV47. We're still with the Ombudsman, that is Honorable Florence Kajuju. Now, you know, earlier on before in for that break, Mheshimiwa, you spoke about, what the commission does. But of course, I mean, such a commission does not seem to operate in a lacoon, rather in its own vacuum, rather. There are challenges, of course, as the commission that you face. Perhaps, how have they been addressed so far?
Of course, there are quite a number of challenges, George, and one of them is budgetary, in the sense that the Commission, the Ombudsman's budget is projected at 1.2 billion, but we get almost half of that, which then means that by the time you pay salaries, all the recurrent expenditure, you're left with very little money in terms of programs. So we've been engaging government, especially at the Deputy President's level, and also and Parliament, to be able to get more resources. But of course, we understand that the economy is not where it should be in terms of ensuring that each of us should be able to get enough. So we are trying to work with what we have, and that is why we were able to partner with the Ministry of Public Service to be able to get our officers to sit in the Huduma centers, and it's something that is ongoing. But we also work with partners. We have a GIZ that supports the commission in terms of programs. We also have FLOCA. FLOCA is an arrangement with the development partners in Treasury. It's a financing locally led climate action program, and FLOCA has been supporting the commission to ensure that we get to the counties and be able to train the county governments in terms of complaints management. So we have done quite a number of rounds to the counties, going to visit the governors, they're getting the county employees and training them on complaints management. We are also moving towards, we signed an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding with the Council of Governors, and one of the things we agreed upon is to establish a county government administrative ombudsman. Because the law, according to the Commission on Administrative Justice Act, Section 8, it requires the ombudsman to be able to support establishment of complaints management structures in the national government and in the county government. So what we've done is agree with the counties that they need to employ a county government administrative ombudsman who then receives the complaints from citizens within the respective counties, and these complaints are resolved at source. So that is a program that is ongoing. Actually, next week we shall be going to other counties through the FLOCA arrangement, and I really thank them for finding the ombudsman as the place to be in terms of ensuring that counties support the complaints management structures within the primary source.
Yes.
We've also been able to ensure that we come to TV47 and among other vernacular stations, among other partners who are able to give us the airtime to be able to speak to Kenyans. And we are also doing a lot of ombudsman machinani. And we are moving.
How is that coming along, Ombudsman Machinani? Are Kenyans understanding what you're doing really? Are they coming out in their numbers?
Yes, when we visit, we normally go to the vulnerable areas, like the slum areas. We also go to prisons. We also go to areas where we find people have been left out, so to speak. And we are able to train them and tell them, sensitize them and tell them what the Ombudsman does for them, and then we allow them to lodge their complaints. Those who have complaints are able to lodge those complaints. We went to, during the devolution conference, we set up tent in Eldoret, where there was the other tents that had been established by the counties. And we were able to get so many complaints from the Rift Valley region. So you find that when we speak to Kenyans, they're able to understand what we do, and they're able to lodge their complaints with us, and we resolve them as quickly as we can. So there's a lot of progress.
Okay. Which region perhaps has, the most complaints by your estimation?
I think all regions have complaints, but if you ask me about ministries,
yes, ministries,
I would tell you that the Ministry of Lands, we receive quite a number of complaints against the Ministry of Land officials. We also receive many complaints on passports, but I'm happy that that is being resolved. The major problem that we have is pensions department. Pensions department has been a major thorn in the flesh of Kenyans, especially Kenyans who have retired. And whenever we look at them and try to resolve issues, there's always that complaint about we are digitizing our programs, we are digitizing the processes, the files are lost. So we are really moving to ensure that the pensions department is also sorted out, just like the immigration department is being sorted out. So we are also moving very strongly to ensure that pensions of teachers, pensions of anyone who has worked in public service, then they're able to get their pension on time. Because you can't just retire from Nairobi, get to your rural area, then you get some money to be able to come back to Nairobi and follow your file. And when you get to Nairobi, you're told your file is lost, we have not received your file from Teacher Service Commission, and made any other excuses. And that's an opening for corruption. Because from where we sit as the Ombudsman, maladministration leads to corruption. So we are trying to stop the maladministration, we are trying to stop the delay, we are trying to stop the abuse of office, so that then we can actually stop corruption from the very source that it originates from.
When you look at these complaints, especially on matters pension, then how do, because Kenyans are results-oriented, do you think that then it is satisfactory in terms of not only just raising a complaint to the Office of the Ombudsman, but to see that indeed once, as a Kenyan, I come to the Office of the Ombudsman, I've registered this complaint, then I'll be able to see results?
Yes, of course. When I came into the commission, George, in the year 2018, we did a customer satisfaction survey. When it was done, then the customer satisfaction was at 28.6%. We did another customer satisfaction survey in 2020. The resolution rate and the satisfaction rate then was assessed at 48.6%. So you can see a lot of improvement. I'm sure if I do one by next year, before I leave the office, it should be around 60%. And I'm going to go home as a very happy Kenyan because I've left the office of the Ombudsman in a better place. And that is not to mean that the first generation did not do as much. You remember when they started off the office of the Ombudsman, they had to establish structures. They had to employ people, human resource. They had to start setting up offices. So they did so much as they could. But when we came in, we also tried now to be able to benefit out of the structures, but also reach out to the Kenyans and be able now to work with government and ensure we have moved forward. So to the best of our information and knowledge, we know that Kenyans at least know better about the office of the Ombudsman.
Okay. Earlier on we did have a story on the community that has presented its memorandum to the Bipartisan committee. Talk to us about the Sabot community. Talk to us about the indigenous communities and what exactly you're doing, because these are some of the people, they are based in Kenya. However, they are not recognized as it were. What are some of the issues, or how can such communities then come to the Ombudsman and receive help?
Actually, I'm happy that the Sabot have gone to the committee to be able to lodge their issues with the committee, because I mean they expect results. As the Office of the Ombudsman, we have been dealing with indigenous communities, and one of the communities that are, some of the communities that have come to us is the Ogiek community. The Ogiek are also in the Rift Valley, and they had filed quite a number of cases within the Kenyan courts. According to them, they did not receive the justice that they were expecting. So they moved to Arusha and filed a case in the African Court of Peoples and Human Rights. They obtained a judgment against the government of Kenya. This judgment declared that the Ogiek community should be able to get land, community land, from the Mau forests. The same judgment also declared that the Ogiek community should be paid around 147 or 150 million, thereabouts, that as damages, that amount of money as damages for the damages that they suffered, historical injustices and all that. So that is one community that has come to us, one indigenous community that has come to the Ombudsman. We've gone to Joro, we've gone to Molo to see some of the areas where they have occupied the forest, what they do with the forest, and whether they are doing a lot of reforestation. Because according to the African Court's judgment, the government of Kenya is supposed to implement that judgment within 12 months. The 1 year is long gone, so that's why they came to complain to the Ombudsman. So we are working with government, we are working with the AG, we are working with the Ministry of Lands, the National Lands Commission, the Gender and Equality Commission, human rights, all these institutions that deal with human rights and matters that affect the forest. Even the Ministry of the Forestry and the Honorable Soipan's ministry, we are working with them. So that is one community I can tell you we are pursuing their matter, and we are asking government to ensure that they implement the African Court's judgment, because the AG had been sued as the first respondent, and government was in court, and the matter was litigated upon, and a judgment was given in favor of the Ogiek. We also have when we visited Molo and Joro, the Kipsigis came to the commission as well. They said, even as you implement the Ogiek community judgment, remember, it might affect some of us who have settled within the Ogiek community. So that is an issue that we're also looking at, and we shall soon be revisiting the Mau forest to also listen to the complaints of the Kipsigis. Now I've seen the Sabaot asking that they need their county, and we have seen that some of the issues that have been taken before the task force is a look at how the counties have been set up. Can we restructure the counties? Can we have more counties created? So that is an issue that I'll leave to that committee. But if this community was to come to us as well, then we'll be able to look at the complaint on whether they've been denied their rights to own community land, where they have been aggrieved, and then we'll be able to resolve in partnership with government. So these are issues that are happening, not just about communities, but even persons. There are persons who have come to us, they've been denied their rights, and we try to see how we can support them to ensure they get justice from government.
How long would the resolution of such a dispute or complaint take?
Like the Ogiek community, because we've had quite a number of meetings with government, you realize that Treasury is involved because there is some money that is supposed to be paid.
Precisely.
The Ministry of Forestry, the Ministry of Lands, National Lands Commission. So what I've done is to bring all these institutions at one table, to sit with them and ask the Treasury, when are you paying this money? Ministry of Lands, why can't you give the Ogiek this land that the court said they should be given? There's a caveat that was placed on these portions of land. When are you removing the caveat? Minister of Forestry. So it is, it's not something that happens overnight, and the community understands, because we've been able to sit together with the various government agencies, and it's a resolution that we expect to get as soon as possible. But it's going to happen, George. It's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
In terms of the ministries or departments where the complaints are sort of less, where would you rate them, to be perhaps a compliant, agency, ministry where complaints have been filed, and when you come in as the ombudsman, then it is resolved? Is there a ministry that seems to be cooperating on, listening to the advice of the ombudsman?
Most of the ministries are really complying. If I may give an example, is last week we visited the Cabinet Secretary of Defense, and we were looking at issues around complaints management. Yes. We agreed with the Minister of Defense that the Ombudsman will be sitting at the court-martial, those proceedings, so that now we don't have people complaining at the tail end of the complaint that they were not granted opportunity to state their case. So we'll be sitting in the court-martials. We agreed with the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Duale, and thanks to him, because that is a good way of ensuring that all parties sit at a table. We also looked at issues affecting citizens. How then, where there is conflict between the defense forces and the citizens, how we can resolve those issues. Some of them I might not go into details, but that ministry is really cooperating working with the Ombudsman. We also look at the Minister of Interior, Honorable Kithure Kindiki, thanks to him. When we took the report, the investigation report on the passports, he was able to move in. I believe we looked at our recommendations, and of course the ministry in its own nature moved in, and they are working around it to ensure that part of the recommendations that we gave, the printers that were broken down, I think they sorted that out. The delay that was being experienced by Kenyans, I'm sure now it's being expedited, if what I see on the reports is anything to go by. So those are some of the ministries that are doing very well in ensuring that they comply with what the Ombudsman is doing. Of course, I have to thank the President and the Deputy President. The Deputy President has been able to sit with us severally to discuss on how we can sit as commissions and get our budgets enhanced. Of course, when we report to the President, because if you look at the constitutive acts of the respective commissions, we expect them to give our report to the President. Every year, we must submit a report to the President. And when we submit this report to the President, then the President is able also to help us to ensure that we move forward in terms of determinations and recommendations. So we're getting a lot of support from the Presidency and also Parliament. When we go to Parliament, to the Jailer Committee, Budget Committee, we ask for some supplementary budget here and there. We're able to get some money to be able to do the things that we must do. Yeah.
When you look even at the the event today that we saw, the swearing in of the new Director of Public Prosecutions, what are some of the things that perhaps you anticipate to see with this new DPP?
You must have seen me there.
Yes, I saw you there.
Yeah, today I actually take this opportunity to congratulate the DPP, Renson Mulele. He came in today in office and we wished him well. When the President spoke, he advised the DPP that one of the things he would expect from the office is to ensure that he cleans up corruption. So the President's message was, when you get to that office, make sure that all the corruption cases that have been brought to the DPP then are dealt with. Then he advised that we should not have political cases that then are sort of punitive in terms of, or taking revenge against persons who don't agree with any particular situation. And the DPP also said that he's going to ensure that justice is there, haki kwa kila mtu. And that is what we are looking at. So that now cases are resolved expeditiously, persons are not just dragged to court for the sake of it, and investigations are done. Even the Inspector General of Police was there. They were advised that do investigations so that when you are taking a Kenyan to that court, the evidence that you have is watertight. You don't arrest and then seek for time to be able to go and collect evidence. Get your evidence together, then charge this Kenyan, so that at the end of the day, we don't have justice delayed, which then would be justice denied.
Justice denied. Yeah, as we enter the home stretch of this conversation, Mheshimiwa, in your tenure, which ends next year towards the months of this August thereabouts, what are some of the issues that you would be proud of, having done as the Ombudsman of the Republic?
Quite a number of them. I'm proud to report that after we came to the Commission, we're able to ensure that Kenyans are able to lodge complaints from the comfort of their homes by digitizing their Ombudsman's office. So we were able to, in May 2022, we were able to roll out the Complaints Management Information Systems, CMIS, that then allows Kenyans to be able to lodge their complaints from whatever location geographically without necessarily going to the office of the Ombudsman. Of course, it's at no fee, we don't charge, and we're able to track these complaints. It's easier to track them and report to the citizen. They can see the progression of their complaints, whether we've written to the ministries and the response of the ministry, and how then the matter is being resolved. So digitizing the commission has been a very good progress from our side. Then we've been able to open more offices. So far we've opened 2 offices, Nyahururu and Garissa, over and above the offices that were there. We're able to increase the Huduma centers, and now we are moving to open 2 more offices this financial year. And then also we can speak about training county government officers and training ministries officers. With every MDA, we always get in, train the officers so that they can manage complaints much better. So then we have also been able to employ a few more officers. Our human capacity is supposed to be 272, but right now we are at around 120, which is a little bit not enough, Yeah. So we are trying to decentralize and be able to get more officers employed so that they can get their services closer to the people. And then we are also looking at the laws that are there. How do we then amend them to make them better for the people who come in after us?
Okay. And in the continent, what are some of the challenges that you've noticed that, the offices of the Ombudsman, face?
As the Secretary General of the African Ombudsman and Mediators Association, I'm proud to report that during my time, we agreed as the African region to be able to come and monitor and observe the elections of Kenya in 2022. We were able to form a mission with Ombudsman from Malawi. She was the head of mission, Ombudsman from Tanzania, Ombudsman from various countries. There were around 5 of them. And they came and observed the elections. They were able to do a report, which we then submitted to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And they made their observations on how the elections were conducted. We also, at the regional level, in terms of the African Ombudsman and Mediators Association, we've been able to have a lot of benchmarking. So many ombudsmen have come to Kenya to be able to see how the ombudsman operates. At the international level, we've been able to also bring in the international ombudsmen into our country and also visit them. We formed a partnership with UNITA. UNITA is the United Nations training arm of the at the international or at the globe level, and we can train our officers from here to the United States. So we have quite a number of relationships that we've created along the way, and the Ombudsman now is better in terms of how then we are viewed regionally and internationally. Yes.
Absolutely. And what do you want to see, once your tenure is over in the Republic? What do you want to see moving forward, implemented even more, built on what you've been able to achieve so far?
I would pray that we are able to oversight counties much more, because when you devolve functions, according to the Constitution, Schedule 4, you expect citizens to get the services that they deserve. When these services are not given at the county level, it's the citizen who suffers. It is the burden of the Ombudsman to ensure that counties offer that service. And when they don't, then the Ombudsman can declare a public officer unfit to hold public office. So I'm praying that we can tighten the oversighting of the Ombudsman at the county level, that we can also oversight the national government much better. Before I forget, we don't just condemn the bad public officer. We also commend the good public officer. The Ombudsman has been having the Huduma Ombudsman Award, where we are able to check across the country who are the public officers who have done good, who have excelled in offering service.
And are there the Kenyans who are doing good?
Yes, there are quite a number. I will invite TV47, a due judge in particular, on the 23rd of November this year. We shall host the 4th Ombudsman Award, where we are going to award public officers who have excelled in public service.
Absolutely.
Right now we are going around the country. We have officers who are going around the country trying to see who are these officers who are doing their best in serving Kenyans.
Absolutely.
On that date, 23rd November, we've requested none other than His Excellency the President of this country, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, to join us and be able to award his officers who have excelled in public service delivery. You'll see it.
Absolutely. And as you want to be really strained for time, but Mheshimiwa, you are from the political background. After the tenure is done, will you be going back there?
Judge, you should invite me in August once I'm done with public service and ask me that question.
Absolutely. Perhaps your closing remarks to Kenyans, if you can look with the camera.
Yes, Kenyans, thank you for reaching out to the Ombudsman. Thank you for wanting to know what the Ombudsman does. We'll continue to do our best to offer you service to ensure that the public officers who have been mandated to serve you better, and hata mnyonge and haki.
Absolutely. Indeed, that is the Ombudsman of the Republic of Kenya, the chairperson of the Commission on Administrative Justice, the Office of the Ombudsman, Honorable Florence Kajuju. Thank you so much for speaking to us tonight on the Daily Report. We appreciate your feedback, and we indeed look forward to hosting her once this is done, and of course deliberating on issues that concern the county that she's come from. My name is George Maringa. Do have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow on the People's Court. As always, stay safe and be kind to one another.
Wakati ambapo wapo nje ya ofisi, wakati ambapo hawapo kwenye biashara.